thank you very much, Stephane, for joining Procurement League and doing this Thursday procurement conversation with us. We're very happy for you to be with us today. While I will leave, I would not want to try introducing your stellar background and experience. I will leave you to do a detailed introduction. But for the benefit of our, Procurement League community members and anyone who's joining, let's welcome Stephane today to this Thursday procurement conversations. Stephane, has a very stellar 25 years of experience in procurement, and now he works at Novartis, which is one of the top leaders in healthcare industry. And he's part of the team which is driving procurement digitization efforts across Novartis, which must be a huge task, I imagine. And he's in charge of the complete revision of strategic procurement processes for Novartis, which is a truly global company. And we'll learn more from Stephane through the rest 1 hour. But with that, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Stephane today for this Thursday procurement conversation. So thank you very much, Stephane. I would love for you to do a little bit more of your introduction and introduce yourself.
Look, first, thanks a lot for the invite and the opportunity, Rajiv. A pleasure to be here. So look, to answer your question, I like to call me a procurator, so it's not my term. It's referring to the amazing group of Tanya Sherry. So look, procurement professional. Just to mention that after university, I did a full-time master in procurement. So I did not become a buyer by chance. I decided that. So I did a bit of FMCG, then 10 tough and fantastic years in automotive, and now the last 15 years at Novartis. Now it's my 5th role at Novartis, so I'm global process owner for strategic procurement. Look, generally, if I would have to make a summary of those 25 years, I can say that I've got a strong expertise or background in topics like transformation, like category management or SRM, business partnering, and obviously, as you mentioned, it's about process data and digital. That's the procurement piece. And I like also to call me curious because in part of my business days, well, I try to find some time, to teach procurement in several business schools, but also look, I try to write and share about procurement. So for me, when we are talking about procurement professionals, it's about being curious, being passionate, but also more and more courageous and resilient. No, our life is full of ups and downs. We can also say full of victories and setbacks. So
that's true.
In a nutshell, Rajiv.
That is true. And I mean, look, you really touch upon some really important points and being courageous and resilient, because you're right, like in a procurement function, let's say one day you have this huge deal and, you may walk into that deal with some expectation about savings or about, some sort of a value partnering. And let's say, you don't get that, or, doesn't mean it's a setback, because, you're still deepening your relationship. So I really like the way you highlight that, key attributes for a procurement professional: to be curious, to be courageous, to be resilient. And, it couldn't be really more important than the present context in the world, where, most of the countries are looking at significant inflation, and that inflation, as being in procurement, would result into number of other issues for procurement professionals or finance professionals with respect to suppliers, price increases, cost optimization, and all kinds of things, right? So with that as the context, what do you really see as the central role for procurement and drive that leadership during these very turbulent and sort of uncertain times where no one really knows what the world could really throw at us after COVID, after inflation, what next, right? So how do you position procurement in that situation?
Yes. So look, for me, right now, we all know that, no? It's about really driving value. That's what we hear everywhere. And I think it's right, no? When you are in a medium high level of maturity with your procurement function, we say that we would be even driving, no, the company's strategies. if you are in a medium low level of maturity, you say, I will enable the strategy, no, of the company. So all that is great. Basically, for me, Rajiv, it's a question of upgrading. It's about transforming our function. Some people are talking about revolution. I personally do not believe in revolution. I still think it's an evolution. So the context is ultra VUCA. We've got digitization, but I still guess it's an evolution. The procurement upgrade theme has been there for a while. We have been progressing a lot, and we know that there is much more to come. So look, if we make a small summary now, we know that we've got our typical maturity roadmap. So it's about tactical to strategic. It's about our cost-cutting role. And now we move to this function trying to contribute now to the company's sustainable growth. We know that. I guess now most of us align also on what a great procurement function is about. No, I like to explain great procurement about connecting. We are connector 360 degrees. So what we do, we link the strategic business needs, even imperatives of the company. We link them to the most capable suppliers of a market. No, and if you do well this connection, we will create value to our business. I hope, why not, for our suppliers, and even better if we do that for the society or for the planet. No? Great procurement. I also see that 50% human, 50% machine. I'm saying that linked to the famous revolution and digitization. So 50% human, it's about strategy, collaboration, people. So like that, we can really align with the business. If we don't do that, we can forget about all the rest. And we want to co-create value. It's not procurement. It's a co-creation exercise. Then you've got the 50% of machine, process, data, tech. I would say it's in this order. And like that, you improve your operational performance and you strengthen your business intelligence. But when you see that, I also see that today we've got so many priorities. No, you've mentioned some of them. We've got ESG, we've got supply risk, we've got fighting against inflation. They talk about digital, about innovation. And now more and more supply relationship management is coming back. No, in the front of the stage. And we didn't mention so far, so time to mention, I guess, talent attraction, retention. So we've got all that. And we've got all that in our ultra VUCA context. And if you allow me, Rajiv, for me, the ultra VUCA context for me are four things. The great thing of VUCA is that we've got disruptive innovations in all industries. And basically from many, I would say, new small players. The second one, I will not talk about the geopolitical impacts. We also see, I like to say that planet Earth is kicking us out when we are talking about weather and all that from the Earth. And based on those three things, for me, the important thing is the reaction. The fourth point is the reaction of the governments. And they come with unpredictable new regulations, new laws impacting so many industries. No? So when you take all this picture, I guess it's just not easy to be a procurement folk. No, we've got many internal, external challenges, so it's quite overwhelming. No? The great thing is that we've got an opportunity to make changes. We've got an opportunity to continue to grow, evolve our procurement function. So we are tired after 2 years. 22, 23 won't be easy neither. So where do we sit? Are we in the middle of the storm? Are we still have time and energy to look at the blue sky now? Are we totally drained? Are we still a little bit optimistic? Look, we've got all our ups and downs, but I think as a professional, I think we need to stay focused on what matters the most. So let's go for this exciting and really challenging blue sky. No? That's it in a nutshell. So we've got, we've got now more and more things to read, to hear about procurement. That's absolutely fantastic. because this is helping us a lot. But at the same time, I see all that a little bit overwhelming, a little bit stressful, no? So we need clarity, I would say.
Yeah, and it is, yeah, right. I mean, it's challenging, but interesting at the same time. And I know I really like the fact the way you list the whole set of factors that procurement professionals have to consider. Being in the middle, and I think often in my own experience also, I see often people overlook this aspect that procurement is actually your external and internal change agent. It's not just internal change agent to an enterprise, because you are at the forefront of bringing all these external innovations and change into the company, and actually being really the conduit between your company and the external value partners, suppliers, whatever you call them, right? In that sense, it's a complete 360-degree view. You are at the same level as well as top and down. So you're looking at complete 360-degree view in that sense. And I also like the point that you mentioned that, look, although these are overwhelming big terms, which is sustainability, supplier relationship, co-creation sometimes, and we have to be driven by them, but we can't get lost in those concepts. We have to still focus on execution on a day-to-day basis, right? So even a small change that we can affect, that can lead to some improvement on turnaround time, on user experience, on the relationship with the suppliers. Those are incremental changes. So I think to your point, being at the forefront and being at the center of the driving this 360-degree change is, I think, what makes procurement fun. And last but not the least, I think the aspect that you touch, which is everywhere, every entity that being in procurement we interact with, we are talking about human touch. We are talking about that relationship element, because end of the day, we are working with individuals who are outside the influence of an enterprise. Like, if I were to take an example, being in HR, you're still with, dealing within an enterprise. So you can influence people due to hierarchy, due to relationships and all that, right? In marketing, you're still working within the company, with sales, with ops, with production, with quality and all that. But in procurement, most of the times you're working with a lot of external partners. So your ability to work with individuals at a human level and influence that change requires certain very different skill sets. So tell me a little bit more about the fact that sometimes all this overwhelming external factors, demands may sometimes confuse procurement people. And how do we stay focused? How do procurement people stay focused and not get confused by these these multiple priorities? What have you tried that has worked for you, or what is your advice in terms of procurement professionals to avoid getting sucked into that confusion and staying focused?
Just to go straight to the point, I would say we have to go back to the drawing board, no? But let's see the situation, no? If you are a curious procurement professional and you see your context, what do? I try to read, no? I try to listen to see if I get solutions. And what has been amazing not recently, but now for several years, is that what is available now on the social networks, on the websites, is just amazing. So it's fantastic because with such an extent of content, you've got amazing opportunity to share, to benchmark, but at the same time, what I say that the level of what I could call excellence, or quality of this content varies a lot. I think we have to be prudent. We've got the software, the consulting firms, you can put the digital magazines, the associations, and so many experts, and they all have generated good content. But somehow it's, I would say, rightly biased. It's based on their particular interests, and obviously they position their offering as being the most important topic to focus on, the best option or solution for a future fantastic procurement function. So at the end, what we've got now, we've got so many names, we've got so many definitions for the same thing, everything has to be tackled now. And I also see in the social networks also a polarization between the old procurement versus future procurement with dinosaurs over there. I say, okay, So for me, as you've said, the picture right now is, I would say, more unclear than clear. For me, it could be even stressful. So look, I would say, as I was telling you, let's go back to the drawing board. I call them the essentials or our work streams. And for me, we've got 5 work streams on our upgrade journey. First, let's start with the strategy. You put a roadmap, ambition. The second one, obviously, people. Here we can put, let's rethink, retrain, retain, to make a kind of slogan. The third one, obviously, pipeline. So it's not only the pipeline for me here. Let's revise carefully what are our tools, what are our programs, what are our procurement levels. All that, there is a big confusion over there. We make a soup of everything. So I think it's quite scary now. The fourth one is operating model. So what are our guiding principles? Before you were calling that a policy, not the procurement policy. So now let's talk about guiding principles, and we put the org chart. So what is going to change in terms of org chart? And finally, I put the digital. And as I have mentioned, with the 50% of machine, it's process, data, and tech solution in this order. So for me, what is really hard now is we have to progress on those 5 work streams. Meanwhile, you've got all the day-to-day operations and the fires now, but we shouldn't be mixing everything.
I completely agree.
And we like this clarity right now, Rajiv.
I completely agree. And I think, you mentioned an important point, Stephane, that, look, with all this overwhelmingly freely available content, I mean, that's the downside of the social media. People could just, one, be lost. There could be the FOMO, fear of missing out. There could be, a lot of the clickbait kind of content. So, there are a lot of those things which could distract someone, who's trying to, bring about certain change in procurement. And I think in this kind of freely available information storm, having these guide rails like you listed out are really key. So, when you say essentials, I say essential guide rails. These are, so I mean, I'm enjoying this conversation a lot already because, I can see that these simply defined essential guide rails can be one's key savior or tool to not get, distracted by this information storm, which, like you rightly pointed out, sometimes can be biased, can be motivated by different reasons and different, purposes, right? So I really like the way you listed out all the 5 essential guide rail tools. And, maybe, we can spend a little bit more time to, delve a little deeper into each one of those. So the first one that you mentioned, Stephane, was strategy, which is ambition and roadmap. And I think it really sums it up very nicely in those 2 words. But, I would let you please explain that a little bit more to us, that what you envision as strategy, ambition, roadmap, unravel that a little bit more for us.
Yeah, good. Look, we have been talking about many fires now all around us. And when you see a big fire, the first thing the firemen are doing, they are creating a strategy on how to tackle the fire. No, they are not going like that to try to extinguish the fire. And obviously, if it's with a big forest, now you've got change of winds, you've got the climate whatsoever, and they need to readjust the course. But they've got a strategy to tackle the fire. So I think for procurement, it's exactly the same. We've said we are navigating the storm, okay, and we have to go to the blue sky. So I can also take the lessons of the experienced sailors. And sailors say, stay calm and focus. No? So for me, that's why I put strategy first. You've said ambition and roadmap. And for me, that's how I describe strategy. So I was thinking about 3 steps, each time 3 questions. So it's 3 times 3 questions. The first thing is, let's evaluate our current level of maturity. First, I need to look at myself in the mirror to know where I am, where I stand. So look, the first one is, what is the current maturity level? You know what are the drivers to look at. So I try to make this picture. The second question is, what is the voice of the procurement team? So I will really ask my procurement guys around their scope, their objectives versus their deliverables, how do they do in terms of category or supplier management, what's going on in terms of pipeline, the pipeline ongoing, what could be the pipeline of the future. I also like to ask them about their victories. What are your most recent victories and what could be your future victories? So that's the voice of the procurement, but I'm also doing the voice of the internal customer or the stakeholders. Donc we need to ask them about the procurement perception they've got, no? Our strengths, our room for improvement.
Okay.
I'm also asking them about pipeline. I'm also asking about their victories. And it's super simple. Low, medium level of maturity. Procurement and customers, internal customers, they will do the same around pipeline and victories. No, sorry. If we are in a low, medium, it will have nothing to do. We will have complete different answer. If your procurement department is medium high, then you will hear about the same victories and the same pipeline. So that's what I do with the level of maturity. The second thing, you define the ambition. Rajiv, call it purpose, vision, whatsoever. I call it ambition. And for that, first thing is, what is the strategic positioning of the company in front of the competitors in the industry versus the long-term trends or the VUCA context? We need to start with this macro picture. Then you can go to the second question. What are the business strategic imperatives, the priorities, the goals, the challenges? But if you don't do those two questions first, you cannot move to the third question. The third question is, from a procurement point of view, with the suppliers, because it's not procurement. As you said, it's our suppliers, no? How can our suppliers drive the company's strategy?
Yeah.
So look, with that, you can create your ambition, how we are going to help. That's it. And finally, the third step is really our roadmap. What is the future roadmap? So when you've got your maturity and you've got your ambition, you understand the gap we've got in terms of maturity. I think it's quite obvious. So with that, then you can define where to play, how to win, also with your available resources. And then you can really put the different stages of your roadmap journey. So look, the ambition for me is showing the final destination, and the roadmap is the journey. So let's start with that first, Rajiv.
Sounds good. And I think, like I said, Stephane, that I'm really happy that we are getting this insight from you, and these are really good guide rail tools that you are sharing with us, because like you rightly said, you can't embark upon creating new partnerships or strengthening existing partnerships with your suppliers unless you constantly revisit, what's the strategy of my company, right? What's the relative competitive positioning of my company vis-a-vis the competition, vis-a-vis the industry, right? Suddenly something can come and change the whole dynamics. And who would have better experienced that than you being in Novartis in a healthcare industry with respect to what happened in COVID? Like, this thing came from out of nowhere and completely changed the strategy and roadmap of many of the healthcare and pharma companies, right? Suddenly some programs were put on fast track, some programs were put on slow track. So everything then has a trickle down effect. So knowing that strategy, knowing the roadmap of the company, constantly revisiting that, constantly resetting it is really great. And if kind of you drill that down into your people strategy with respect to rethink, retrain, and retain some of the people, because obviously it's the people who are at the heart of this, who are executing it, right? So like you mentioned that we got to have very strong pulse check on our people and constantly rethink, retrain, and retain. I would love you to, Stephane, maybe share some more experience, delve a little bit more into how do you think that people strategy of rethink, retraining, and retaining is key to strategy and other tools that you mentioned?
Look, here it's not procurement. It's like that for, I think, any function and all the companies. Our success is just all about our people. So at the end, it's just common sense regarding people and team management. So look, in terms of people, we've got the procurement people. Then we've got our stakeholders. They are the business people. And also we've got our suppliers people. So let's go step by step. If we take the procurement people, yes, you've mentioned the rethink, the retrain, and the retain. Why do we start with rethink? We need to rethink the kind of procurement team we want and we need. What does it mean for me? The first thing is that we will have to integrate new profile. There is a simple example, no? The procurement professionals, we have been trained for many, many years to do competition and negotiation. Now it's really, really time, or even not too late, to move to collaboration and influencing. But we still have guys who are not able to change their mindset of competition negotiation. We have to play now on both. The second one, we need digital and tech savvy people. They are not the same profile as the traditional buyers. And what is even different, we need data and analytic experts. I've been during the last couple of years talking to data and analytics guys. Wow, it's really rare. It's not easy to talk to those people. And those people are really having a very, very strange language. The beauty is that when we start to understand ourselves, the result is fantastic. So we have to know which kind of new profile we want to integrate. Rethink in terms of diversity. Are we, Rajiv, really serious about diversity? And we all know that it's super hard to change our bad habit of sense of belonging to a uniform group of people. So that's the story now of the new candidate. We tell the candidate, welcome to the team, and please, be your real self. Don't change, make us change, and after 6 months, they call the guy and they say, I'm sorry, you must leave because you don't fit in. So,
exactly. That's a good
diversity. Look, are we really serious about it? We also have, in terms of rethinking our new ways of working. Now, home office is a real question. Remote teams is the reality everywhere. I don't want to talk too much about agile methodology or entrepreneurship, but it's coming also in procurement and very quickly. So that's the rethinking. Retrain, nothing new. The problem is that when you are looking at a kind of procurement academy, the list of capabilities is so long. You've got a huge list. So look, for right or wrong, we need to prioritize and we need to choose. And then we make a simple procurement academy. It won't be perfect, but you've made your choice and you create a learning journey. I'm not talking about training, I'm talking about learning. And we are not only talking about systematically expensive trainings. We've got now so many great and cheap ways of learning. So that's the retrain. And retain, look, typical people management, taking care of your people, you listen, you engage, you communicate. The line manager should now really walk the talk, hopefully, not always the case. Psychological safety is something really needed, and try to have some time to make your people really learning and growing. Why it's important? Because I think promotion and compensation will always remain a hurdle. So that's for our procurement people. Super fast. What do we do with the business people? It's business partnering. So do we have, Rajiv, a framework to guide our procurement business partner? So we've got procurement business partner. They will take care. They will influence. They will agree with few key stakeholders. And to have those carefully selected stakeholders, we need a rigorous mapping exercise of those stakeholders. We pilot and we expand. The same for suppliers people. So here we talk about the famous supplier relationship management. For me, Rajiv, one key message: external partnering only happens if you already have internal collaboration first. If you don't have internal collaboration, forget about spending time on SRM. It will never, ever work. So do we have a SRM framework? And once again, we will have some procurement SRM leads for very, very carefully selected top partners. And with those partners, we align, we negotiate. And basically, the role of the procurement SRM lead is to align and to create trust among two big teams in two companies. So it's really a hard job. Fantastic. But once again, you pilot, and then you expand. So that's a little bit the 3 dimensions of people, not only procurement people.
Oh, sure. No, and trust me, this is, I'm learning myself in this conversation so much, Stephane, like, like you rightly mentioned, very key. And I mean, I also get a lot of social media content, and for various reasons, you like we talked about. I would read and hear about supplier relationship management, but I have never heard or come across something so key, so simple that you just mentioned, which is for supplier relationships, external partnering to be successful. You have to first be good at building internal collaboration. If you don't do that, you bring the external suppliers and you fail at internal collaboration, this relationship is going to fall apart immediately, because this external partner will say, hey, where did you really bring me into? Your people are not talking to each other. What can I do? So it's so simple. And this is where I think the practitioner's experience, like yourself, talking to yourself, brings out the real nuggets of wisdom. And that's why we do this Thursday conversation, Stephane. So thank you for sharing that. This was really, really wonderful. Great, simple concepts explained very simply, but so powerful, so impactful, so critical for the profession. And like you rightly said, Stephane, which is to take care of the people is really, really important. And because end of the day, we will have this whole new generation of professionals coming into the practice, and they are bubbling with ideas. They have ideas, they have knowledge. But we need to really harness that and channel that in the right direction. So how do we really set up the direction, that we bring people on board, and, how can we really harness it in the right way, such that, we can be successful ourselves, and we can make these newer generation or external partners be successful, towards the outcome that we want to drive. So any, examples you want to talk about, or throw some more light into, what can we really do to set the direction, for procurement team members?
At the end, Rajiv, at this point, it's great to talk about strategy, to talk about people and academy. And we've said that thanks to the strategy, we've got our journey and roadmap, but all that is taking time. The company don't have time, and they want to see results. And our new people are also asking for things very quickly also. So I personally don't like to see pipeline being in the 3rd position. I would love to have it a little bit later, but we have to put pipeline now to guide our guys, to also say to the company, we are progressing and we are doing well, slowly and surely. We need a pipeline. So for me, the pipeline, it's all our list of initiatives. That those initiatives are going to be co-leaded with the business. It's not a procurement exercise, it's a company list of projects, and it's a portfolio of projects at the end. So look, for me, when we are talking about pipeline, and also to guide our people, I see 3 things related to the pipeline. We have to talk about our tools or methodologies, and train our people on few tools, few methodologies, to be serious on that. Then we can have programs. So sorry, for programs, I just put ESG and risks. They are not tools, they are programs. And then finally, we shouldn't mix those 2 things with our procurement levels. So we need, when we talk about pipeline, to have those 3 things clear. So tools and methodology, what do I put there? Category management, strategic sourcing, with all our RFX now. SRM, we have been talking about SRM. We could put crowdsourcing, we could put agile procurement. We can talk about should cost modeling, TCO approach. I guess those are the most common and relevant one. Now we could put a much bigger list, but I think the most important one. Look, at the end, the idea is to select the right solution for the right objective. Now, let me take 2 examples. The first one is category management versus strategic sourcing. Oh my God, there is a complete mess and complete confusion. We've got so many category managers with the title of category managers, and they are not doing Catman, they are doing strategic sourcing. Nothing wrong if they know that they are doing strategic sourcing. Something is wrong if they say, no, I'm doing Catman. No, you're not doing Catman, you're doing strategic sourcing. So Catman today is facing many issues. They want to kill Catman, because my understanding is that we have been doing Catman in the wrong way. So we said that the tool is not working. No, the tool has not been well used. So the results are not there. So for me, when I'm going to launch a debate now, but for me right now, I think that Catman, I'm passionate about Catman, but less is more. Catman on few key impactful categories, and we do it well.
Sure.
And we get the real benefits of the methodology. And obviously, we digitize Catman. We've got very few platforms in the market on Catman, but it can be done. It's quite interesting. And look, for strategic sourcing, by the way, we all say that we are great at strategic sourcing. Okay, so when you are defining your go-to-market approach, we should be doing much better when we are defining this go-to-market approach to know if we are just going to do an RFQ or an RFP, you know, or why not a request for solution? Because once again, we are great now. Q and S are very different things. No?
Exactly.
We can do exactly the same with supplier performance, supplier relationship, and crowdsourcing. Same confusion. I'm not going to talk about supplier performance management, which are the quarterly reviews with the supplier, you know. During 1 hour, we take the supplier, we say what has been good, not too many things, what has been bad, and we beat the supplier. And after that, you've got your corrective action plan. Please, what are the productivity for the next semester? So that's supplier performance management. Okay. SRM crowdsourcing. When do I need SRM? And we've said that. For me, SRM is we take a key partner for top initiatives. Can be around ESG, top initiatives related to ensuring the supply, or what I call also incremental innovations. Maybe some SRM are about disruptive innovations, but I think in most cases it's incremental, great innovation, but incremental. Then we've got crowdsourcing. I've got a challenge to solve from the business, and I need to look for partners I absolutely do not know. So let's launch a crowdsourcing event in a platform and look for those unknown actors, unknown solvers. So when we see those confusion, once again, when you are in front of your initiative, everything is starting again with the why. With the why question. Define really what you want to achieve with the business before starting the project. And you will see if you need Catman, if you need strategic sourcing process, if you need strategic sourcing, if you need SRM or crowdsourcing, if you need a show cost, if you need a TCO whatsoever. So let's start with the question why. Programs, I've talked about ESG and risk. Those are transversal programs. So here, I know about that. Start small, pilot, and expand. Sometimes in many companies, say, no, let's have a big bang approach. The big bang approach is completely failing. So I don't know in terms of ESG or risk if you want to start with some categories, or you want to start with some suppliers or top polluters, or you want to start with some risk. I don't have the answer, but make it small. And then continue the approach. If we talk, Rajiv, now quickly about the procurement levers, once again, we are confusing everything. So we say, let's fight against inflation. Wow. We could say, by the way, fight inflation, or we can say we need to increase cash, or we need to split our product launches. We need maybe to improve quality, reduce inventory, whatever you want. At the end, we have to select the right procurement levers. So you select your procurement levers, doing a Catman or doing a strategic sourcing process or within an SRM. I think it's a little bit boring to read, but it's absolutely fantastic to see the Kearney purchasing chessboard. We've got 64 kind of productivity or value creation levers, no? I love the Kearney sourcing gemstone. We've got 40 plus tactics. If you enter into Cirtio for e-category management, they've got more than 70, I think 70 strategic options. Those are procurement levers. So when you were talking about our new people or new guys, can we just try to put a little bit of clarity, order our procurement levers as a company, as a function to say, look, those are our most preferred procurement levers. and we are going to work on this one, this one, this one, try to guide your people also on the procurement levels. So in a nutshell, this is how I would do with the pipeline, which is a hot topic as we need to deliver. No?
Yeah. And I think, you touch upon really important points, Stephane, because, sometimes even a pipeline word can be received and perceived in a very tactical sense of the request pipeline, which is basically PR or sourcing request. But I think you are talking about pipeline in a completely different context, which is basically it's a pipeline of initiatives, pipeline of really aligning your entire procurement strategy and execution playbook for the whole department. And that is a very interesting conversation, because you do that for the team, and then you do it in collaboration with your internal stakeholders, and sometimes even your external stakeholder partners. So I think, again, like I said, sometimes it's just although it is good, there's a lot of freely available information, but the downside of that is it can sometimes just take people in a completely different spin, for whatever reason that content is being shared and all that. So I'm glad that you are able to provide these very simple tools and methods to differentiate what each term means, like you just said, which is about to look at SPM, SRM, and crowdsourcing in their individual perspective, and how they should not be interchanged. These are not interchangeable terms. Each one has its own meaning, each one has its own context and application imperatives, right? So well, the thing, Stephane, is sometimes also, and this now I'm taking the conversation to a slightly organization level, that for people to be able to execute on these pipeline, select the right tools and all that, there should be the organizational framework or the operational model in place in some ways, right? Which kind of because we are all very functional oriented people in a large enterprise setting. So what are the things that companies can do, or senior leaders in procurement or finance or supply chain function can do to have the right operating model to drive this kind of a focused execution of strategy, right? So tell me a little bit more about what do you think about having the right operating model to drive the strategy, conversation, and execution.
Yeah, fantastic, Roger. So look, on purpose, I'm simplifying what we call the operating model. So that's why for me I just put two things: the principle or guidelines of procurement, what we were calling the policy, and then the org chart. Normally, you always put the processes also here. I prefer now to put the processes in digitization. So, because at the end, the reality is that when you're talking about operating model, you're talking about boxes and people and FTEs. So let's put the processes in digitization, because digitization starts with processes. I prefer to do it like that. The first thing, look, once again, the first thing before we talk about an org chart is to define our procurement mission. So I love to see, and maybe it's a little bit old-fashioned, but procurement principles and guidelines are there to say, why are we there as a function? What is our scope? What are our what are we doing in terms of key activities, roles and responsibilities? No, even better, what are the roles and responsibilities of the rest of the company, jointly or in front of procurement? We need to explain that it's not a 50 pages document, but we need to align that with our leadership team in the company. They have to understand what is our role, what is their role, how it's going to work. So with that, we need very clearly to explain in those guidelines what is the difference between transactional, tactical, and strategic. Transactional, it's a lot of burden on procurement, but transactional is not only linked to procurement. We've got finance rules, legal rules, but just external laws and regulation to fulfill in front of our suppliers. They are not procurement. They are just laws, regulations, internal rules. So we need to clearly explain that. Don't mix everything. This piece of transactional to our suppliers, yes, but it's not procurement alone. I don't want to talk about treasury and payment of EVA whatsoever. So then we've got tactical. Tactical is going to change a lot. Right now, we have been dedicating so much time to making all those biddings, you know, to have the right offers, the right price. Now with digitization, for sure, we're going to put catalogs, marketplaces, virtual payment cards. We've got whatever we want here now. You've got integrators. You can have e-forms. So basically, I see that we will have less and less tactical buyers. We will transform them in what I call the buying channel experts.
Sure.
In order to really be able to create and manage those buying channels. Once again, catalog, punch out, marketplace, integrators, whatever you want. Those tactical buyers are managing the buying channels. No?
Sure. Yeah.
And then strategic. I see pools, Roger. So in my world, I see few category managers really doing category management. Then I see pools of sourcing managers. They will do the sourcing process. If I've got a big organization in the country, I will have procurement country managers, and those guys are helping the category manager or the sourcing manager in the big things, and they will do the most critical local projects.
Sure.
And all of those three roles are also doing business partnering at their level.
Yeah.
So this is really how I drive few categories, and I see pools because we also need to try to move this agile way. So companies like Roche, for example, we've got a bank in Spain called BBWA. They have been already starting to work in kind of SWAT team, no?
Wow, very good.
SWAT team, we need, and it's super hard to create those pools of, no?
Yeah.
But we need to go there. So we will define our org chart based on that. If you want also, I could talk about center of excellence. You know, we have been talking a lot about the center of excellence. So for me, there are not center of excellence. There is a center of efficiency and a center of excellence. Because right now, today, in the center of excellence, they put everything, which has nothing to do in common. So for me, in efficiency, what do I put in efficiency? I put there strat plan performance, you know, the policy, the processes, the data, the analytics, you know. We can put also the compliance. Why not the academy if you want, if it's internal academy for our procurement guys and users. And those guys are really helping the procurement organization and the users to have an efficient procurement process, quick activities, user-friendly. What do we do with what I call the center of excellence? It's where here I'm putting my supplier engagement manager, where I've got innovation management, where I've got the lead on my ESG or risk management programs. No, maybe I've got someone dedicated to supplier diversity in the US. It's super important. It's going to move to the rest of the world slowly and surely. In this center of excellence, I would love to have, why not, a social network manager? Today, the salespeople are selling in the social networks. I can tell you in the very near future, procurement department will have to sell the strategic needs in front of the supplier to attract the best supplier.
To attract the supplier, exactly. Yeah, you have to become the customer of choice. You have to become the customer of choice.
Exactly, sir. I would even think one day, don't ask me right now what it means, we could have an ecosystem manager. We talk a lot about ecosystem. I understand that the companies are putting those ecosystems right now, but I don't really understand the role of procurement there. We have not reached this level of maturity. So look, with all that, we create our org chart, and we've got the number of FTE we've got. So we have to select. I don't want to talk too much about externalization, Rajiv, but you know that externalization is there.
Sure, there is. Yeah. You need that partnership manager. Yeah, the externalization partner.
Transactional can be outsourced. Tactical can be outsourced. They will also tell you that strategic can be outsourced. I've got my DUT. I've been testing it. I would say that strategic procurement should remain
in-house,
in procurement, in-house. So that's a little bit how I see operating model.
Yeah, it has to, and I think you know, I would like to share with you, Stephane, something that I learned, you know, with my experience in this, you know, outsourcing and being in the functional side industry for a long time, one of my customers said something very, very profound to me one day. He said that, look, Rajiv, you can outsource responsibility, but you cannot outsource accountability. And that was really an eye opener for me, that look, a strategy is accountability. You cannot outsource that. You are accountable for that, drawing that strategy, maintaining that strategy, and being the protector of that strategy. What you can outsource is the responsibility, which is the execution part. So once you laid out a strategy in-house, you can, you can identify elements of execution that can be outsourced, whether it is research, whether it is, tactical day-to-day, P2P transactions or whatnot, right? But the strategy part of it, that how a buying channel has to be, designed, what should be the buying channel, what should be the percentage of spend going through different buying, those elements, and then their interrelationship, I don't think cannot be outsourced, although, I've spent a lot of time in outsourcing, but I do believe that it rightfully should stay within a company. But I'm really pleased with some of the things that you have stated, Stephane, and you would see me making some of these, sounding intelligent, and I will tag you for, your kindness and generosity in sharing some of these concepts and these thought processes with us. So really an eye opener in terms of this conversation. Let me kind of take this conversation to the next, because you rightly said, I think operating model, an org chart is a great tool to really force yourself as a company and revisit what you're trying to do. Maybe create these new roles altogether. Maybe create new role definitions for the roles that have existed. Maybe create new KPIs. So I think that's a great tool to do that and establish some of these guidelines. But tell me, in terms of your point number 3 with that, which has an impact on resources and their location, either based on work stream or where something should be located. What do you see that as an experience? And especially being in this role, I think being a global process owner, I think have a very good view of how resources, processes, and digitization, all of these things come together.
Yeah. So look, I'm quite pretty sure that to answer the question, no, in terms of location, today there is a super big trend to use hubs. No, so we put our people in hubs, but I think it's a good idea. The problem with that is that then you've got very small teams in the big countries. Those countries are important for you, and you've got small teams. At one point of time, how do you motivate those teams?
Yeah.
What is the career path for a team of 5 guys or
True.
maximum 10 guys in a big country, even not in a small country? So you are creating your hubs. Those hubs are becoming super big in terms of number of people. So
Very
you
good
start
point.
to have frictions. You
Very
start to
good
have
point.
frictions. You start to have more and more norms because it's a big team. And if you put norms, if you put competition, it's not anymore flexible, and it starts to decline. The hubs start to decline. The performance of the hubs start to decline. Whereas in the country, you say, look, we are 10. I have no future there.
Exactly.
It's not going to work. So
Yeah.
look, once again, I understand the logic of the hubs, but I think the logic of the hubs are impacting very negatively the procurement and business partnering we need to have in our top location. So for me, still, I would have a procurement organization located everywhere. Obviously, you need, if you have a category manager,
fluid team, yeah.
Let's put it in the country or in the region where you've got the major spend.
Yeah.
Okay? Let this person being in the location where you can get the biggest talent. That's it. So now you were talking about digitization. I'm not going to enter too much. We are hearing so much about digitization. I will just tell you, Rashid, here I'm a prudent optimistic. I've been working for my first e-auction was in 1997. My first e-auction.
Okay.
I've been touching Ariba, MTORIS, CLM. Now we are Ariba full suite, and I've been putting Ariba and testing also Visible for the last few years. So look, for me, it's process first. Let's map our process.
Mm-hmm.
Let's understand, even if it's not perfect, let's understand the pain points.
Mm-hmm.
Digitization is there to solve our pain
Process
points.
problem.
Digitization is there to improve our processes, or automation, because automation is one thing, digitization is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So look, let's start with that in mind.
Exactly.
Then once we understand that, the second point is that data is even more important. We can talk about digitization, but we are not serious enough about understanding our data flow. You know, what are the data in terms of input, in terms of output? It's a nightmare. So digitization will not work neither with that. So then we can talk about digitization. It's coming in third position. What I see today, when we talk about digitization, first, what are the priorities? We've got so many things to do. We can digitize everything. So where do we start first? I've seen many pilots launched, and so many pilots failing because we were like chicken without heads running over there. No, so make the priority is not easy at all.
Yeah.
Then do you have the project team? Even harder, do you have strong governance mechanism around digitization in procurement? So you can start with it. I will even not mention the money.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Look, a pipeline governance. Then the second thing is, do you want to do Excel at a super advanced level? A bot? Is it just a question of visualization? I'm not an expert at all, but I've been hearing about low coding and no coding. And finally, there is the software. So digitization is not putting the software first. The software is the last option, and it's an expensive one. So imagine if you got to select the software, start with the big why. Start with your pain points and ask the salespeople, how are you going to solve those pain points? How are you sure that you're going to deliver those outcomes? And listen the answer of those salespeople in the software industry. You will be surprised. Talking about data and system integration. So the famous best of breed, everything is one click integrated. This is false. Integration are not easy. They're expensive to do. They're expensive to maintain. So once before you are selecting a software, in advance, upfront, talk about data and system integration. So also talk about TCO of the software, not about just the license. And for me, best of breed, beyond that, we see more and many startups. And I can tell you, we spent a lot of time on the software itself. Evaluate the partner. Evaluate the culture of this startup. Evaluate if you will really have an opportunity to influence their product development roadmap. So the mentality, the culture, the selling strategy of this startup is as important, if not more important, than the software. Because their software will evolve maybe each year or each 2 years in a small company. Be aware of the company rather than the software. It's how I see digitization, Roger.
This is so unraveling. This is so wonderful, Stephane, and I'm glad that you bring these points because yes, you know, I also come across a lot of this talk and, you know, people are, for a lot of people, I think digitization is all technology. And I say, no, digitization is not technology. Digitization is value, process first. Do these micro automations, do these micro steps, and then, you know, you can bring the software, right? You know, you know, you can't put the code first, you know, to solve the problem. So, well, it's a, you know, let's say, you know, people like us are a minority, Stephane. So we are up against a, you know, huge army of software companies which are trying to sell the software. So, you know, we will keep, you know, raising our voices about processes, about this way to go digitization. And I'm sure, you know, someday we'll be heard. We will take your voice and amplify it through our platform. And that's the reason of doing these Thursday conversations. So I'm glad that you bring that perspective and I'm glad that you share that. I mean, this has been a really wonderful conversation, Stephane. You know, we are coming towards the close. And I know I have not asked anybody in the audience to ask a question. If they feel like, you know, please feel free. But, you know, if there are no more questions, you know, I would say, Stephane, that, you know, this has been a really wonderful conversation. I have learned a lot. I have gained a lot from this meeting. And I always tell this to my team that, look, I'm a procurement enthusiast. I'm a learner. I'm still like a, kid in the candy store when it comes to procurement. Although I've spent 20 plus 25 years, every conversation I take something new. Today's conversation, I've taken so many new things. And trust me, you will see some of those things in our, social media posts, whether it was, a new perspective to organization chart, whether it was new perspective about digitization, whether it is a new perspective about, the differences between how people confused sometimes with SPM, SRM, crowdsourcing, and all that. I've learned a ton talking to you today. So I really, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank you for your time, sharing your knowledge, sharing your wisdom openly with us, coming to our platform. And what we will do as next steps, Stephane, for you to know the next steps, we will process this talk and convert it into bite-sized videos so that everybody can benefit and they can always watch the whole length video. And we will share those on social media, promote it through LinkedIn, because like you said, we have to constantly keep putting these voices like yourself out there, to counter some of the very, very biased thought processes that exist there, right? So for the benefit of everybody, not for any other reason, for the benefit of the community, procurement professionals, right? So thank you very much again. We really appreciate your, spending time with us, and I look forward to talking to you again, sometime in future. Maybe we will pick up some more topics and go into details. And if you feel like, bringing any of your other passionate colleagues, to this conversation, please feel free. We would love to, be introduced to those people from your network.
Rajiv, thank you very much. Thanks a lot for these initiatives. We need more initiatives like that. So happy to support, happy to help. It was a very nice conversation. We all learn from those conversations a lot. We constantly reframe our message, we reframe our way of thinking. So that's very nice. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the
Thank you.
day.